What's going on, everybody? It's my favorite day of the week, Friday. But I've mentioned on my channel before that I learned when I took 2 years of paid family leaves, one for the maximum allowed. I think the maximum allowed the first time was 10 weeks. And then the maximum allowed the second time was like 12 weeks, I believe. And during those two time periods, when I took that time off to take care of my dad, I realized that it was never really that I hated Mondays and I loved Fridays. It was just that Friday, when I clocked out of work, represented the longest period of time before I had to clock back into work. Because when I was off, I remember getting to Friday and feeling like, man, it's Friday already. There was so many things that I was planning to do. Like some of y'all remember when I was actually going to all these live tapings. I was going to those like 2 to 3 days a week during that time. And I was making a lot of video content and I was doing a lot of athletics. I was doing a lot of races. I was just doing a lot of things that I liked to do. Hi, Colleen. I was just doing a lot of things that I liked to do with my time, and I got to choose what I wanted to do with my time. So that time always feels like it goes by faster than time that you're doing mundane tasks that you're forced to do or you have to do. But getting into the topic of it is not your responsibility to make everybody around you happy. Again, these are simple statements. They're obvious statements, but they're things that are easy to say in theory and they're difficult in practice. Hi, Cass. They're difficult in practice because ultimately we're all different human beings. Everybody wants different things. Everybody likes different things. Everybody has different things that makes them happy. And the chances are, if you're working really hard to make sure that all the people around you are happy, you are probably sacrificing some of your happiness to do that. And that has been past experiences for me in life. I remember, there was a time period in life where everything kind of revolved around making sure the people around me were happy. And that's not to say I like when the people around me are happy. If you're happy, I'm happy. But when your happiness becomes a responsibility to me, then that becomes a burden. It's actually not something that is good for me or healthy for me. If now all of a sudden I have to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G to make sure that the people around me are happy. Happiness comes from within. Hi, Lisa. Happiness comes from within. And energy, I find energy to be really, really, really important. And when you lend your energy too much to people who are not personally happy within, it starts to take away from your own joy. And this week for me, and these past couple of weeks really, but this week specifically was a week of a lot of clarity for me. The end of the week, I felt really good because I had to just remind myself of these things that I've already known, of these things that I've already had to practice over a period of time. I can give an example. I always give examples. I remember when I first started doing photography work. I remember when I first started doing videography work. It was always a hobby of mine, but it was not something that I ever said, I want to do this as a job or I want to do this as a career. But there's a particular place, and when they had events, I didn't even have a professional camera. I just had my cell phone. And I would take pictures and videos with my cell phone. And people were like, oh, these are really good. I think that you should use these pictures. You should try to make something out of taking these pictures and taking these videos. Like you should do some kind of media work. And I was like, I don't really see that I want to do this as work or as a job, but thank you for the compliment. Then I remember a particular friend of mine had their daughter was having a sweet 16 party, and they were like, I want you to be the videographer for this sweet 16. And I was like, I don't even have a camera. And she was just like, you're the only one I want to do this job. So I thought about it for a little bit. I was like, you know what? I actually went and got a camera. I bought the camera for the job. So I went, I took the videos. Were they well received? Yes and no. That's a long story, but I guess long story short is the video that I did take, that person loved the videos that I did take, but didn't feel like they were long enough. But that's a business thing. It's not really about whether I did well with the job or whether I didn't do well with the job. It was just I was I was a rookie to doing that as work. So I didn't realize you have to be real explicit with how long your videos are going to be, what's going to be included in them, contract, all of that kind of stuff. But, you know, the long and short of it, because that was not the point, was that I really liked the job. So I started to do more work and I started to get different jobs. So the people that I did the most work for originally were the people who kind of gave me my first jobs or gave me my first bit of encouragement. Hey, you should start something. You should make something out of it. And they felt like because they were the ones that were there when I started and because they were the ones that gave me early work and gave me early encouragement, that I permanently was their videographer and their photographer for life. You know, like I started you out, so you always have to do my projects. And it started off slowly where I saw that they were getting upset. So it'd be like, hey, Mark, I have this project that I need you to do video for. I had this event that I need you to do video for next week. And I would be like, I would love to do it, but I'm booked. And that was no shade. I was literally just booked, you know, like as other people booked me because my work started to get out there. People started to see it. And I started to become more in high demand to do that particular thing. And then I started getting comments like, Mark is always busy now. I remember back in the time when he was doing his little photography and his little, he didn't even have a camera. And I helped him out. I hooked him up with a job. And now he doesn't have time for me. And I would laugh. Ha, you know, that's funny, but it's not really funny. It's actually a shady comment that was kind of disguised as it was supposed to be funny, because at the core root of that comment was like, I started you out, now you're too busy for me. Whereas, and that's not really somebody who has your happiness in mind. That's just somebody who's trying to use you. Because you would think if somebody was genuinely supporting you, like real genuinely, they start you out and then they see you start to succeed and then they see you start to get other gigs and you start to get higher paid jobs and you start to spread your network and you're increasing your money and you're increasing your talent and you're developing your skill. if your happiness was of importance, then it would be like, I'm so happy for you that you outgrew me here. You know, like I hope that when you have availability, we can still continue to work together because I like working with you. But I'm happy, I'm proud of the fact that you have kind of spread your wings from here and made other arrangements with other people. And I remember this particular one came to a head. This one time when I had a gig that was booked for like weeks. Somebody actually said, I have a gig for you to book. And it was actually a Sweet 16. And this was my friend. And one of my friends was like, let's say the Sweet 16 was in October. I think it actually was in October. This was some years ago, though, like 6 years ago, October. And they hit me up in March. And they said, I want to make sure that you are available to do this. And I'm going to pay you right now. And that's not really standard. I mean, it's standard to get a deposit, but they actually paid me in full in March for this thing that happened that was going to happen in October. And that same couple of friends that, you know, started me off and gave me my first couple of gigs, they had a gig that was that same day. It was on the same day, but I didn't even know about the gig that they had. They just had it in mind that they were going to ask me whenever they were going to ask me. And then I was going to say yes, and I was going to do it. So they came to me probably 3 days prior to the event that they had. And it was a pretty big event that they were having as well. So they were like, Mark, you know, a lot of people, they tried to spin it like it was something big for me. So it's like, you know, a lot of people are going to be at this event, Mark, you know, and we could have chosen anybody to do photo and video work, but we chose you because, you know, we value you. We're, you know, you're the best person that we think is for the job and all that kind of stuff. They try to butter it up. And I was like, I'm sorry, but unfortunately, I have another obligation. I don't even think I said a Sweet 16, but I just said, unfortunately, I have another obligation. They went in on me. They went in. And when I say they went in, they went in. It was no more fake funny comments. It was no more jokes. It was no more like, I'm saying this as if it's supposed to be a joke. It's sarcastic. It's kind of sarcastic, but it's really what I really feel, but I'm not saying it in a direct fashion. This is a really direct, like, how dare you say no? It's like, how dare you say no to this event? Like, you were nothing without me. This was the actual conversation that was happening. You were nothing. You were a nobody. You weren't even doing this before we gave you the encouragement. We gave you these gigs. We took you here. We brought you around this person. And now all of a sudden, we need something and you are not providing that. And I was looking at this. I was thinking about this conversation in a serious way. And I was in some kind of disbelief because all this time, these were actual friends. These were not people that I met through business. It's kind of different when you meet people through business because then it's like, I don't really know this person anyways. We have just developed a business relationship over time. It was the opposite. It was people that I developed a friendship with before I ever held a camera to do any job. And we were just friends. No photography work. We never worked together on anything. We just knew each other. We were friends. We spoke. We hung out. Never been in this position with them before in my life. Then all of a sudden, this business thing comes involved. And I was like, wow, this is very strange to me. And I thought that it was because of the business. that this had happened, but there was actually another reason why it got to this point. And I'll tell you why it got to this point. It got to this point because my boundaries were being pushed repeatedly over a period of time. So even though I'm saying that I got other gigs, I turned down their gigs, I said no sometimes. This was not a consistent thing. There was actually times where I had better opportunities. There were actually times where I didn't want to do certain things that they would ask me to do, and I would do them anyways because I wanted to make the people around me happy. So I'd be at this gig, doing this gig that I did not really want to do, unhappy. They're happy. Mark, you're the best. Mark, thanks for always showing up for me. Mark, thanks for always being there for me when I need you. That's what I was getting. And it didn't feel good. It sounds good, but it didn't feel good because it wasn't making me happy. It was making everybody around me happy. So that big confrontation that we had, I actually was able to say everything that I'm saying now. I'm like, you're telling me how dare you? You were nothing before we got you started and we did this for you. I gave you this gig. I gave you that gig. I was like, you know what? I was never nothing. That's first of all. I was never nothing or nobody. You didn't make me. So that's not a thing. But in terms of my actual photography and videography career, thank you. You did help me at the beginning. You did give me encouragement to get started. You did give me gigs that I could work on, that provided me money to pay for upgrades to my equipment, pay some bills, it got me some exposure. It did lead me to other gigs and bigger things. I appreciate you for that. I don't owe you anything. That's the difference. I don't owe you because of that. You know, like I did work for you. I did good work for you, as a matter of fact. You paid me for it. And honestly, the pay, I'm not complaining about the pay because everybody starts somewhere, but the pay was on a rookie slash steeply discounted friend discount. So it wasn't really like you were giving me the opportunity. It was more like you saw my talent early and you got an opportunity to use that talent for a certain amount of time until, I now had a portfolio and I now had my own business contacts within the field. And now I was able to get my own gigs. So it was kind of like, if you feel that way, oh, you're different from when you started. Was it that I was different from when I started personally? Or is it just that my schedule got booked up? So now my time wasn't as available as it was when I started. People can develop a whole set of feelings that you don't even know that they have. Your happiness should always be your top priority, and everybody else's happiness should come after that. Now, if somebody truly loves you, cares about you, and supports you, they want you to be happy. If somebody does not in any of those areas, your happiness feels like an expense to them because you are not sacrificing your happiness to make sure that they're happy. And I remember at the end of that particular friendship, because am I gonna say it ended? Not 100%, because I do talk to those people on occasion, on rare occasion, but on occasion. We're not completely not in contact anymore, but I'm talking about speaking 7 days a week, several times a day, hanging out every single week, to once every 3 months having a chat on a social media platform or a cell phone app, seeing them once, 1 to 2 times a year. And that was hard at first, because when you see somebody in a certain light, sometimes loyalty can be to your detriment, because you feel like you have to be loyal to people who were here during this time period, or people who were here at the beginning of this thing that you started, or people that were just, the pioneers. I even had an experience like that with a friend of mine that I have known for a lot of years. A lot of years. I knew this friend since I was what? We were in school together in 5th grade. Yeah, we were in school together in 5th grade. And because of that, I let so many things slide. We went to school together for about maybe 7 years. 7 years, but they were 7 years in my really early years. And then we disconnected, as I did with most of my friends, because I was not, social media was not really a thing at that time. So we reconnected via social media once that became a thing, and we spoke and chatted through like Facebook Messenger, stuff like that. And this particular person was saying a lot of things that were like, whoa, if a stranger said those things to me, they would be blocked and I wouldn't be speaking to them anymore. But I was like, no, this is my childhood friend. He can't really think that way. He can't really feel that way. I've known this guy since I was like 10, 11. But over a period of time, I just continued to look at the statements that were made. I continued to look at the comments that were made. And I was like, I only held on this long because of how long this person was there. And that can be to your detriment as well. Thinking that it's a time thing, like when somebody has put in so much time that you cannot apply certain rules and values to them because of the time that they put in. People can switch up at any time. Somebody could be good with you for 10 years, 20 years. They could switch up. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't take time into consideration, because I do take time into consideration. Not only do I take time into consideration, I take consistency into consideration. I don't make fast decisions. When I was younger, I was a different person than everybody knows me to be now. I was very rash. My decisions were all based on my emotions in that exact moment. So I would end a whole friendship because of one argument. I would leave a job because of something my boss said to me that day. I would just say whatever comes to my mind, I'll deal with the consequences of it later. But I lost a lot of things also during that time period, because hasty words and hasty decisions can lead you to losing things that were good for you. So nowadays, it's not like that for me. I take account of things over periods of time. I see if things follow consistent trends and consistent patterns before I make my decision. Because then, by the time I make a decision, it's like I'm sure. I've had people ask me, once I get to that conclusion point and I give them the conclusion, they're like, "Are you sure? Maybe you should think about that some more." And I'm like, "No, you don't know how much thinking that I did before I even said this. So I'm sure." Like, I'm at a point where I feel really settled with my decision making. That doesn't mean that it's always perfect, but it is always very well thought out. Even in a moment, I will take time to separate, think back, and I'll ask for advisement. I said this, I don't believe I said this on here, but I said elsewhere because I talk on so many different platforms now that I lose track of where I said what. But it's something I learned in therapy. One of my therapists that I had some years ago gave me this great tool because she got to know my personality and how it was at that point in time. So she said, "You're somebody who in the moment could be really explosive if you're upset." So she was just like, when you feel upset and when you have the time and the availability to do this, just say, either say I need a moment to cool off, or just take that moment if you're able to. And that has served me so well. I remember one suggestion that she gave me that I still use today is to get outside, take a walk, call a friend, phone a friend, tell the friend, tell them whatever. You could tell the friend everything, and as long as they're a trusted person, you can tell them everything in an unfiltered way. Then you've gotten it out. You've gotten the steam out. Then you can take some time to think about the situation rationally. And then once you've thought about it, usually that time that I take is all that I need. Because by the time I take the time, I'm like, okay, I can tell whether this is just how I feel in the moment. I'm emotional in the moment. Or it's like, no, this is genuinely how I feel and I need to leave it alone. And let's see this. If you don't let me defend myself or apologize, it's clear you were just trying to get rid of me. I lost friends back in June because of things that I did that were misinterpreted with malintent, and they blocked me before I could even defend myself. You know what? Yeah, that's unfortunate. You know what though? My reaction to conflict in that sense, like conflict with a friend for something that is said that I feel is a certain way. Like I see something and I read it and I feel a certain way. My reaction, and I was just talking about this earlier this week, my reaction is always to try to actually reach out and communicate. And but the difference between me now and me before is that I'm not going to reach out 5 times, 10 times, or 20 times. I'm going to reach out one time. And if the other party is interested in a resolution, the resolution will start. You'll start working on the resolution. If the other party is not interested in the resolution, it's okay to leave it alone, because it takes two parties to be able to do that. Or it takes however many parties. It takes more than you, is what I'm saying. If it's more than two parties, if it's 10 people, then it takes 10 people and you to sit in a room, virtually or in person or on phone or whatever the case is, and work on it. But I agree with you there that if the conversation is not even taking place, then nobody wants a resolution. Sad but true. Let's see. Someone I knew always said, you don't need everyone to like you because you don't like everyone. You know what I have found lately is that I like few people. I like a few people, and that surprises people because I'm friendly. So it appears like I like everybody, but the people I really just let in, those are the ones that really know. I don't even have a camera. Um You end up depleting your own emotional reserves when you have to constantly give to those who just take or have an expectation that you will always give to them endlessly. Yep. Entrapment through flattery. Let's see. I'm sorry, Ma, and yes, they probably used it as an excuse. You like us. Maybe I don't like you though, Cass. I'm just kidding. I just don't like the people that you like Tucker. You like all the people that I don't like. So you have all my ops are your friends. But yeah, that's the end. Yeah, that's the end of my TED Talk. And thanks for joining me. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm trying to build this channel up. I mean, I don't know. I can't even say that I'm trying to build this channel up. I'm trying to keep this channel alive so that when September comes, actually, September is next month. I'm trying to keep this channel alive so that when I do my reapplication for monetization on this channel, that I'll have enough watch hours to make that happen. But if it doesn't happen, it's okay, because this channel has just really become more of a live diary. If you haven't been able to tell by my recent topics, where I don't plan anything, um, whatever I think of, I just hop on and talk about it, and wherever it falls, it falls. So you clearly love Cass, and she's like the only person who is a mod on both of your channels. It's funny because just the other day, well, maybe not the other day, just a few months ago, everybody was like, "Why is Cass not a mod on Mindful Reality?" And then she became a mod on there, and now it just happened to be that. Actually, that's because Cass was one of the few people that was on my channel 2 years ago. That was on this channel 2 years ago. So I think that's really what it was. There was a whole different set of mods on this channel that have not been active in a long time. But anyways, talk to y'all later.